Daenerys, the Mad Queen has risen. She is here. That's the big question that I want to ask first and foremost. Is there a way for her to come back from this?
Why do you keep saying Daenerys?
I know, it's so weird.
It's so, like, have you seen the show? Have you seen
Daenerys.
the show?
Daenerys.
When do they ever call her Daenerys?
Danny.
No. Why do you say Daenerys? Explain yourself now.
Wait, no, I'm saying because that's how you kind of spell it and sound it out.
But you know how to say it. They say it in the show, Daenerys.
It's like the same. I think I come from North, where we have a strange, distinct accent. Daenerys.
Okay, a little
Daenerys.
closer.
Daenerys.
Just call her Khaleesi.
What did I call? Yeah, it's much easier to call. What did I call her? I already forgot what I call her. What the correct
Daenerys.
I call her Daenerys. I called her Daenerys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Play the tape.
man.
Play it back.
Play the tape. Intern, play that tape. Well, okay. Khaleesi.
What was your question?
Is there a way for the Mad Queen to become not the Mad Queen?
She marries Jon Snow.
Yeah.
She's too strong for him.
What? To marry him?
So that was that's what Varys said in this episode, that when Tyrion suggested multiple times that they just marry each other and solve all their problems, that it's like, oh, that could never work because she's too strong for him.
I think that's
and she would bend him to his will. That's a stupid answer, as well as their answer of, Targaryens, it's okay if you marry your cousins, but Jon's from the north, and that probably wouldn't fly.
No, that's true.
So what do you think's gonna? I mean, like, what's the solution there?
Well, that means that Daenerys is gonna have to die, and Jon's gonna have to be the king of Westeros.
Even though he doesn't want it.
Bittersweet ending right there.
Which is just kind of lame, the more and more I think about it, because Varys' whole shtick is about how what's best for the realm, and he says, like, maybe the best man for the job doesn't want to be the ruler at all. Maybe that's what makes him the best man, which I think is bullshit. Like, Jon has proven himself to be a good, like, leader, I guess, in terms of just, I don't even want to say charisma. A good leader in terms of what's right, I guess, and like always being stubborn and consistent about what's right. But he's a horrible battle strategist, and he doesn't know how to actually be a leader and lead people, which is very important.
I don't really trust Lord Varys' information anyway, because they make a point of how many people he's served, and he always says, I do what's best for the realm. But was Lord Baratheon best for the realm? Was Cersei best for the realm? Or were all these people best for the realm? Obviously not, since he jumped ship, so I feel like he is not very useful in this information.
Yeah, he's just best for the realm at the time, and then as soon as they start, displaying some bad tendencies, instead of helping them or really trying to fix the situation, he jumps on to the next one. Mm-hmm. And then it's a Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
the title.
You did it. Well, I think there's some logic to what Varys is saying. I mean, part of their goal is to have peace, right? And to have peace, you want a ruler on the throne that people actually like and respect. Daenerys is not going to, the way she's going, the course that she's going with her being kind of Mad King-ish, she's not on a good track to being well liked by her people. Like, one, she's not even from Westeros. Well, I mean, I guess she is technically, but she is, the idea of her being an invader from across the sea has already been planted in the minds of a lot of the people. And that's a fair point. She pretty much has no business being Westeros. And the other thing is, the last Targaryen that ruled the Iron Throne wanted to burn his own people. So people have a reason to be wary of Daenerys. And whenever there is some kind of unrest towards the ruler, then there's bound to be a conflict. So from Varys' point of view, yeah, Jon might not be the best military commander. He might not even be the best, leader in general, but he has people that like and respect him and will follow him and will die for him, and that is an important quality to have in a king. And I mean, I'd probably prefer Jon over Daenerys too, to be honest.
After this episode, I think I fully support that. I guess Jon does seem like a better ruler than Daenerys, unless, or in Khaleesi, unless there's a way for her to come back from the edge. Unless, what I'm hoping Jon's destiny is that he can somehow bring her back and remind her what's right in this world about what to do, about how to be a good person but also still be a leader. Because if Jon can instill that part in Khaleesi, then she's going to be perfect, because she both knows how to play the game, unlike Jon. She knows how to, I think she does know how to inspire and lead people in a way that I think Jon doesn't. Jon just seems kind of like falls into it and doesn't like mean to, but then just ends up inspiring everyone around him, while I think Khaleesi can at least read the room and know what to do, which I think is very important. So if Khaleesi can just learn something from Jon and calm down a little bit, then I still think she can make a good ruler.
I think it's very simple how Daenerys can be a better leader, a more inspiring leader, instead of looking like a tyrant. It could be as easily as what she should have been doing this couple of seasons and what she did in the past seasons. Because there's a reason why Tyrion joined with Daenerys and Lord Varys joined with Daenerys, even though they both were initially against her as a ruler and they thought of her as a foreign invader. All these people have come to be with her, and not all the time it's just like, oh, she's the breaker of the chain, she freed us. That's kind of part of it too. So a lot of these people were slaves, and they would be slaves without her. But she was also once benevolent, and once she would actually listen to her advisors and advise what they said, because even though she thinks she is a rightful ruler and she should be just given the queen pedestal without earning it, she also needs to realize that she's never really ruled a place or been in she's never been in the battle before this one, and she really just has her dragons fight. She's not a warrior. She's not a war leader. She's never ruled over a country or a city or dealt with affairs like that. She just usually just comes in and kind of figures things out. But I think when they were in, what was the place
Marine?
Was it Marine? Where she was there for a long time, and she had conflicts with the warring people. They did not like her, and she listened to was it Marine? No, I don't think it was Marine.
What are you talking about?
No, Marine, the Slavers Bay with everything like that, right? That was Marine.
The one where they switched out the actor for that guy, and they were there, and they had the Harpies, the Harpy people.
Sons of the Harpies.
Sons of the Harpies.
Whatever that was, when she brought him the heads of the people.
Yeah, what's your point?
I'm saying that they didn't. The people didn't like her, and she listened to Tyrion, and tried to work with them and figure things out to make peace with the common people and still, rule, instead of just saying, oh, I'm gonna blow you guys up with my dragons for not listening to me. So I think if she just listened to her advisors and listened to Jon and actually paid attention, I think she could work out. But for some reason, the writers just have her not listening to anything they say and just doing whatever she wants.
Okay, but you're forgetting that her advisors have basically led her astray. Remember the whole plot thread about Tyrion being dumb and making bad decisions?
Very poor decisions.
Very poor decisions, and that's why Dany doesn't trust Tyrion anymore. So it's because her advisors have been failing her that she doesn't listen to her advisors. And
okay.
And when she did listen to them, things would go even worse for her. If you think back to Marine, remember when she listened to Tyrion's advice, which was something like, no more slaves, and you have, I don't know, X amount of weeks.
7 years. You have 7 years to get rid of slavery.
Yeah, you get to get rid of your slaves. Well, the slavers kind of basically betrayed Dany by attacking the city when she left. And then after that, Dany executed them, but then also the commoners didn't like that or something because they wanted mercy for them. Is that how it went?
That was you're mixing up the first time. You're mixing up when she first arrived in the city, and then later on in the city. When she first arrived, what she did was crucify all the slavers, because of what they did. She murdered them, and then they were like, maybe that's not the right thing to do, even though these people are awful people, because they're the economy, I guess, of this place. So then she had to kind of find a way to have balance, and that's when she got kidnapped, or got taken away by Drogon and was with the Khaleesi with the Dothraki for another chunk of time. That's when Tyrion made the deal with the slavers. You can get rid of it for 7 years, and then they immediately betrayed him, and then Daenerys came back and burned everything to the ground.
Yeah. So I guess my point is Tyrion has failed her. That's why she doesn't listen to him.
Well, I think it's better, like, if she's doing something wrong, they're there to tell her, this is absolutely garbage. Like, because I mean, it's obvious to us as an audience, should be obvious to everybody in that room. Just everyone's too afraid to confront her. And if it's that serious, if it's that big of an issue, I think it's worth, saying, I absolutely disagree with that, notion.
Well, Varys did do that last episode.
Well, let's look at this episode where Dany makes a decision, and that is we got to press on Cersei right now, right away. And what that does, even though that they kind of disagree with her, they go along with it because it's what she wants, and it results in an ambush where Rhaegar dies, in a completely surprising moment. Rhaegal dies, completely surprising moment, because like the music was swelling and very dramatic, and all of a sudden you're just like, what the fuck? Yeah, like what's happening? Just like that dragon just got wrecked, and then instead of going around them, she decided to charge them straight on. But
yeah, that was stupid.
But it was her decision to do that, and I think that was the show presenting it. Like, she was rash and she charged in. She paid for it.
All right, I got a theory about that whole because they're landing at Dragonstone, right? I got a theory about this. So, do you guys think that it's possible that Sansa alerted Cersei to their plans, and that's why Euron was waiting in ambush at Dragonstone?
I'm gonna say no.
Why Sansa?
Because she doesn't like Daenerys.
I think if Varys wasn't on that boat, I think it could have been. I would have believed it more if Varys did it, that if he enacted his plan. But I don't think Sansa would go that far.
Yeah, no, I just want to throw it out there. But yeah, it wouldn't make any sense.
It's a time just to throw out the theories about the only thing I'll nitpick. I guess I nitpick a lot about this thing, but the problem is, I think this episode is called The Last of the Starks, and I think it really underutilized the Starks, especially Arya, who seems to be off on her own mission to assassinate Cersei in a really good plan because she has the power to, and also Bran, who seems to have the superpower to be able to see everything that's happening, so I don't know why they don't utilize him more.
I think what he has is the power to see what has happened.
I mean, like, but he could easily, if it's what happened, then he could easily, one, he could warg into ravens or animals in the present time, and then two, if he sees what happened, he could have gone back to Cersei's throne room and saw the plan that they were making to ambush. But I guess the point is that he's not Bran, that he doesn't do that because he's not focused on these squabbles anymore, right? Because he's the three-eyed raven.
Yeah, I mean, Bran is supposed to be able to see everything. He doesn't just see what happens. He also knows what's going to happen.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
How do they point that out in the show?
Well, don't they do that in the part where Theon's about to die? Where he just looks at Theon and he's like, "Oh, you're a good man."
They've been vague. I thought they haven't confirmed. I thought because Bran can only see things that I thought they mentioned that he can only see things that has happened.
Yeah,
that he can't see the future. But then that also doesn't make sense because it seemed like he gave Arya the Valyrian dagger earlier last season for this purpose.
Yeah, and like remember when in the first episode of the season where he's like, "I'm waiting for an old friend," and I mean, I assume that was Jaime.
Yeah, because he knew Jaime was coming.
So he knew Jaime was coming. I don't think anyone else knew that he was coming. I mean, that was my impression, was that the Three-Eyed Raven knows everything that has happened and everything that will happen, but part of the reason Bran doesn't fuck with anything anymore was because of that whole business with Hodor. He kind of screwed up Hodor's life by kind of working into the past. But also he's he's supposed to be detached from everything, so I don't really know what his purpose is anymore in this show.
Yeah, he didn't really have a purpose besides getting the Night King there.
Being bait.
Live bait. That was pretty much it.
For people, I guess, as a segue for people who seem like who serve their purpose, do you think this is the last we've seen of Tormund, Sam, and Gilly, at least, besides maybe like a brief pan shot of them doing stuff? But do you think overall their story is done?
I think so.
And Ghost, who just so disservice throughout this whole show.
So Ghost is kind of the perfect example of how I think the showrunners are treating this season. Like, I don't think the showrunners are doing a very good job of capping off the show at all, and it's best represented by how they won't even bother to have Jon pet Ghost. Like, Ghost hasn't interacted with anybody this season, he's always like off in the background, not really doing anything, just kind of sitting there. And Jon doesn't even bother to say goodbye to him. Doesn't even go out to him to give him a little pet, you know. And
Yeah,
they could have done that. They could have filmed a very short scene of him petting, you know, thin air or something, and then put a CGI overlay over it.
It must have been
call it good.
difficult, but that like that. There, I think it was more expensive and more difficult than that to do it. That they just didn't want to, I guess, focus on to like make it like a bigger wolf for him to actually pet, because Ghost is always off to the side or not interacting with anybody, and I think it's more the constraints of the CGI budget. But it sucks because it totally ruins the story. It's the same element of why the Dothraki charged out there in the battle, because they don't want to, you know, you don't want to film a horse battle. How do you film a horse battle at night with all these Dothraki? That's difficult. It's these CGI constraints that I just think are really hurting the story.
And speaking of the Dothraki, when they were talking about the remainder of their force, it's so funny that like it's basically, from what I gathered, half of all their troops are gone.
Yeah,
like, perfectly half. Like half of these guys are gone, half of these guys are gone. And then they went to the Dothraki, and I'm like, oh yeah, those guys are all gone, right? And they're like, no, only half of them are gone. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what were they doing the whole time?
Yeah,
where
where's
was
the rest of the
them?
Dothraki? Where's the horses?
It's
Where'd they
back,
go?
remember?
I guess so. They all came back off screen from the charge.
Yeah. The death just went past them really quick, and then they were so far away that they just like, I'm just gonna let those guys resolve it. We're gonna wait a bit.
But to answer your question, I don't think Tormund or Sam or Gilly's gonna have any more screen time. I think I at least saw something, you know, outside. It was like on Facebook or something where Tormund was saying like thank you or something in a picture. So
I guess because there's no real point, I guess, more to the story. They don't need him anymore.
Yeah, well,
because they
gone.
wrapped
They're not
up
gonna die.
the great love story. Let's switch over to because I'm curious about your guys' thoughts on Brienne, Tormund, and Jaime. Tormund is more of the comedic effect, but I guess the Brienne and Jaime coupling. Did you like having them together? Was it a good moment or
Gross? Ew.
we were moaning and groaning the whole time, covering our faces with the blanket.
why?
It's gross, man.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't believe it. I didn't want to see it.
These two people found each other and brought out the best in each other.
Did they?
Well, she brought out the best in Jaime. Brienne was always awesome. Like, she didn't need to learn anything from Jaime. But Jaime learned how to be a better person.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of people have been teaching Jaime to be a better person, but I don't see him fucking them.
Not on screen, at least.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
I
think?
don't know.
I'm guessing you loved it, didn't you? You loved watching that shit. You pervert.
No, I mean, like, I guess I would have preferred if their relationship was more platonic, more like a her and Pod type of relationship, where it's just like these two have real big mutual respect from one another. But I think what the show is always, in these last few episodes, especially dealing with sex, and with like Arya and Gendry, which isn't just shown for fan service. It might have been, but they were really trying to push the point of the sex is the
Still
biggest form of connection that you can really have with somebody, that you can share with somebody. It's what makes us human in this world when you're fighting against the dead. So I guess for Jaime and Brienne to finally consummate that and be, have sex like that, then it's supposed to be good. I guess I just didn't like, if that was the point, then that's fine. But like the way around it is just like, let's just get sloppy drunk and bang. Like that was.
And I mean, every other time sex has just been used, to be sexualized. Like it's always so they're at a whorehouse or something. So I don't believe that that's what they were trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think that it would have been better if they stayed platonic.
Yes.
Because I did not see. I mean, I guess this season more than any other season, me personally, there has been that kind of romantic tension between them. If they had been slowly building this for longer, then I think I would have liked it more. I just think that at this point, like if it got the reason I'm reacting to it poorly because I don't think their relationship was built up well enough.
Yeah.
Like it should have been like oh yeah, finally they're getting together. but instead it's more like an ew. Ugh. It's like they're these coworkers that don't really, like each other, just kind of doing it because they have to, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more like that they were trying to, because they needed to get to the end point of that, which is Jaime needs to go off for Cersei. But that moment is only impactful if he's actually with somebody else romantically, or else that moment doesn't have as much of an impact. So then they had to do that. So it's like, it just seems like they had their end game for that story and the point that needed to be hit, but then had to fill it in beforehand in order for it to make sense.
I still think even with that point, Jaime pledging to stay and then leaving is stupid. Okay, so he agrees to stay. Why does he stay? Just purely for Brienne?
Yeah, that seems like what it is.
And then he leaves because he hears that, Dragon died, got ambushed and stuff, and that he needs to go protect his sister.
The show makes it seem like it seemed very vague in this, because I don't think, because they want it to be a surprise, I guess. But the way I read the scene was that Jaime has to go back because he needs to kill Cersei, because it's this hateful thing in his life, and she's causing so much destruction. So he's the one who needs to be responsible for it, or else he can never move on. But the show tried to kind of play it where you could read it as maybe he's going back because he does love her and he can never get away. But I don't think that's what it is. I would have preferred if he just outright said, I need to kill her before I can move on.
Okay, so...
That's how I read it. Did you guys read that? How did you guys read the scene? Because I think overall, we've talked about many times that Jaime seems to be the one who's going to kill Cersei, maybe. But did you read that scene as he needs to go back to kill her, or he's going back because he loves her?
I saw it as he's going back because he loves her.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's just before he leaves, he lists all the things that he did for Cersei.
He did, but I think he was saying it of how much that's pained of it, like how much bad things he's done in the name of Cersei. So as long as Cersei's alive, he would do these hateful things. So he needs to close that chapter of his life before he can move on.
But he specifically ends it by saying that she's evil, but so am
she's
I.
hateful, and I'm hateful too.
I'm hateful too. So, but regardless if he wants to kill her or he wants to protect her, why didn't he think about that first? Why did he stay there?
Because he liked Brienne. And then he was like, oh wait, but Cersei though.
But Cersei's in danger.
I forgot. So stupid.
Pretty much. So
this episode has a lot of backlash. Overall, did you guys, on a scale of the rest of these other episodes, where does this rank for you? Because I enjoyed a lot of this episode. I liked the after battle drinking fest, and I guess I didn't like how truncated Dany's Dany's descent into madness was, and Tyrion and Varys turning on her real quick. But I mean, overall, there's some good moments. I like this episode more than the battle of the last episode.
I think we can all agree on that,
I rank this one. I rank this number 2 of the 4 episodes we've seen. With I guess number 1 being the episode just before the battle, and then
that episode was great.
And then the first episode would be 3rd, and out of sheer disappointment, the Battle of Winterfell would have to be last for me. But I like this. I do also like this episode because it, like I said, it kind of like Game of Thrones has always been about the politicking and the secrets and stuff like that. And I feel like this episode has gone back to that, at least in some sense, specifically with regards to Jon being caught up between Dany and his family, and about how he's trying to please both of them at the same time, but both of them are basically telling him that that's not possible. At least Dany specifically told him that. And so, yeah, once that information spread, and it spread real fast. This is the kind of thing I feel like would have happened over the course of maybe 2 or 3 episodes if we were still old Game of Thrones, That secret would have been laid early on, and then it would have spread slowly. But they have to get it out of the way. So basically, at this point, everyone knows that Jon is actually a secret Targaryen. And I like that.
It spreads in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to tell the Starks, and then he ends up telling the Starks because he's going to do that because he's dumb. He's a Stark. He's a Jon Stark. And then once that happens, it goes on to Tyrion, and then it goes on to Varys. So it's intriguing. At the very least, I can say that I'm still, I'm still uncertain of how it's gonna play out, so that's a positive, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine.
I'm just curious about Jon revealing the secret so quickly. I wonder if, because to me that's an idiotic decision, and I think that's really dumb of Jon to do that. But I wonder if the show is trying to paint his righteousness and like his stubborn ability to always tell the truth as the fundamental flaw. Because all these characters who've had this fundamental flaw of always telling the truth have always died, and Jon is totally in the wrong, I think, in this, because he couldn't. It's selfish of him to not be able to hold this secret, because Ned was the most honorable man who ever walked the earth, but even he held the secret for this long because he knew that it would protect the overall realm and save lives. And I just think Jon is just completely in the wrong here by being honorable. Usually the honorable thing is like you see, but like, yeah, that's the right thing to do, but you know, they shouldn't do it. But this one, I think Jon's in the wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he's totally naive. Like, I can see why he would do it, because one, he trusts his family, and two, they are in front of a weirwood tree, and I think when you swear oaths in front of a weirwood tree, isn't that kind of like a sacred thing? I don't know. Maybe that kind of maybe he was taking to that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Jon has never been the smart person. He's done dumb things countless times, but it seems like he's never punished for it. You know, he's always saved. Yeah, he got killed for one of his dumb decisions, but was still resurrected. Anyways,
he tried to fight a dragon.
He screamed at a dragon. He charged solo into an army at the Battle of the Bastards and forced the rest of his army to die basically with him. Another poor decision, but still he wins the day because of Sansa. So who knows? Maybe his luck will run out this season and he dies because of that. Or maybe he just keeps on going, and even though he tells the truth and it's sort of a not good thing, maybe he comes out on top again. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be the king of Westeros.
God, I think at this point, I think I'm going back to your theory about just like dissolving the king, because right now I actually don't want anybody to be king. I don't think any of them deserve it. I don't think Dany or Jon deserve it at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that ending as well, but now I have no confidence that the show will ever do something that, I guess, ambitious. Maybe that's not the right word. That's too smart of an ending, I guess.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, because it's so. The earlier seasons that when they were based off George R. R. Martin's books, they had such like a huge tapestry of interconnected kind of storylines and subtle plot beats, and that didn't have an easy solution. But now it's definitely more streamlined to good, bad. This is going to be very simple.
What do you think, Tori?
Yeah.
In regards to who's gonna get the throne, or
yeah, what do you think of the episode?
I thought the episode was better than the last episode. It wasn't bad. I will say, even though I like the camaraderie scenes and them, having fun, celebrating after a battle, I do think it was a little too long, like of them just sitting around talking. And I mean, it would only be useful if they were talking about information we already didn't know, or like revealing plot scenes or something like that. The best we got was Daenerys felt like she left off and pissed off and leaving the area, and everyone else was drunk and having sex and stuff. But I really want to get more to what you said, the characteristical Game of Thrones wits of battles and wars and fighting. I want to see all of that, and I wanted to see that a little bit more. But other than that, it was all right.
Yeah. My question that I guess I have that I'm curious about, that I guess I'm most curious about character-wise, is what happens to Arya? Because it seems like she's on her way to kill Cersei. That's her goal, but I don't think she can succeed in that. So what happens?
They wouldn't make her kill two of the main bad guys, would they?
Not in such an easy way. I really don't think they would.
I think they will, because
honestly, I wouldn't put it past them either.
I mean, they've been really stressing throughout this whole Game of Thrones arcs how Arya has this kill list. I don't know how the Night King ended up on the kill list, but I guess whatever. But
she would be like almost about to kill him and just like, oh wait, not on my kill list, can't do it.
You're good.
You're good. Do your thing. Kill
Mhm.
Bran.
But she's always been like, I think the best scene is her reciting like she's like going to sleep or something or trying to fall asleep, and she's like reciting all the names that she needs to kill on her kill
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
I think they've settled, like they've put that in our brains enough that I think, because, and they're already kind of setting it up anyway, because Cersei has all these innocent people in her castle, and Daenerys is gonna look like an awful person by just blowing up the whole castle and killing everybody and Cersei. So I think it's gonna call for a covert mission where Arya is gonna be the one killing her instead.
Yeah, possibly. I was thinking like because she's traveling down there with Clegane, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're back. They're best buds again, best duo. I think there's gonna be an encounter with the two of them and the Mountain.
Oh, you know what? I bet? I bet she's gonna have the they're gonna do a parallel to season 3, where the Hound's gonna fight the Mountain, and she's gonna have the opportunity to kill Cersei, but she can either leave the Hound to die or she can go kill Cersei, and instead of leaving him like she did in season 3, she's gonna go back and save him.
That seems
my
like
theory.
smart storytelling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
they're gonna walk into King's Landing, and then her head's gonna be crushed immediately by the Mountain.
Oh man, okay, that would be a way to go. I mean, geez, that'll get me back on board Game of Thrones. That's what I signed up for.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bloody death of main characters.
Let me throw this out. Let me just, throw this out.
Paint a picture.
I'll throw it. Maybe it'll end in the garbage. I don't know. So we've already set up that Arya killed the Night King. She supposedly then is Azor Ahai, the prophet.
I don't even think so. That prophecy is bullshit at this point.
I mean, Melisandre was seeking that person out her whole story. She was trying to figure that out.
Whatever.
Anyway, does that mean that Arya should be, on the throne?
If she kills Cersei, then absolutely.
Although she already said she's not a lady.
She can be a king.
Yeah, I'm no lady. I'm a king,
I'm a
bitches.
queen.
Yeah. So what's up with that last scene though? That parlay scene. What were they trying to accomplish there? Because a few scenes before that was when they were in the battle room and Dany was talking about how, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to destroy tyrants, but maybe I should make it known that she's the reason why everyone's dying. Is this her idea of that? Like just having a parlay session and then calling it good? Like, okay, parlays. Like they couldn't possibly have gone there thinking that Cersei was going to surrender. That couldn't have been part of the plan.
It was really stupid. Because it's giving them a chance to, it just gets them there. But there's really, it would have been much better if Cersei came to them and said, you're coming to meet me right now, or else I'm going to kill Melisandre right away.
Yeah, I guess the idea was that they wanted Cersei to, bow down and give up the throne.
but
by doing the request, they're giving a chance to show that they are, the kind rulers that they need to be. And if bloodshed is shed, it is now Cersei's fault because she didn't surrender. But
that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense because, if you're the one who's pulling the gun or pulling the trigger, it is not your leader's fault for not bowing down and giving up. It is your fault for raining fire down on the village. It's so stupid.
Also, Cersei totally could have opened fire right there.
Yeah.
There's no reason for her not to kill Tyrion.
Yeah, I saw, once I saw that the camera was panning out, I was like, oh, looks like she's got her whole army here. Looks like the fight's about to start. And then it's like, nope, it's just a little tiny bodyguard force, I guess. But they're approaching Cersei from this well-fortified position, lots of archers, lots of ballista, and they're all within firing range. Cersei could have blown the fuck. They could have blown in the bits right there.
They could have even planted some dragon fire under, pulled a, season 3 move or something like that.
Yeah, they could have exploded them.
Part of me thought Qyburn was coming out and he was going to be like a suicide exploder and had wildfire strapped to him.
He's got one. He's got one of those crossbows.
Why wouldn't he? What are they going to do? Everyone is saying it's like these they're fearing the dragon to like come and fight everything, but those scorpion arrow things have proven that they take down dragons really easily.
Yeah, they could have taken down the dragon right
easily.
there.
Yeah.
Like the dragon wasn't even flying; it was just like chilling in the back,
way in the background.
And honestly, if Cersei had started like shooting at them, there would be no consequences. She would have demolished them, and that would have been the end of the threat right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like there's no troops.
And it's just very poor storytelling to justify that, like, because the story they're trying to present is we're trying to avoid any sort of carnage, so it's good for us to go out there and try to appeal to Cersei because we're the good guys and that's what good people do. But it's stupid to know, if you know anything about Cersei, that's a good idea, like, or at all. Like that's what you're trying to attempt to do. Is foolish.
Yeah, and Tyrion should know this, but of course he's been downgraded to a dunce.
Well, like I said, I don't think their point was for Cersei to bow down. I think it was for her to give it a chance. But they also didn't realize that would get Miss Andrew killed, which ended up happening. Like,
yeah, if they didn't show up, what are they going to do? Execute her? No, they would keep her until they can execute her later. So that's what I thought. Tyrion. What I really thought when Tyrion was walking up, he would be like, "You can take me, but let her go," and then we'd have, that would be.
That sounds like good storytelling.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. Speaking of remote crossbows that will detonate remotely, let's talk about Bronn and his crossbow.
So random.
It didn't blow up.
It didn't blow up. That was anticlimactic to me, just because it was so obvious from the start that Bronn is a sellsword, that he would sell it to the highest bidder. So his conclusion of "I want something better and now I'm gonna go" is such a weird. It's like they don't know what to do with Bronn in the story anymore.
They told, I mean, that would have been a good bit of character growth, right? If he was just like, Cersei told me to kill you, but you guys are my friends, so I just came here to say hello. That would have been better than basically doing what he's been doing this whole show. Like, hey, I'm gonna kill you. Now give me some money. Okay, thanks for the money.
Yeah, he did exactly what was in character, what he has been doing, and Cersei didn't expect this or plan for this at all. It was just a way to get him out of King's Landing, because really, behind the scenes drama, if you guys don't know this, I guess apparently Lena Headey and the actor who played Bronn used to date, and they're not allowed to have. I think it ended poorly, and they don't share any scenes together anymore. That's why the scene in the season 7 finale where Bronn left to go out with Pod to have a drink. And that's why he's not there in that final parlay scene, like, of season 7.
Wow.
And it's why Qyburn was the one to give him like the crossbow, because he can't be around the actress who plays Cersei.
Huh, that must be really terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it must have fallen out really badly if they can't even like have a cordial working relationship.
Yeah, they just don't know what to. I mean, but again, with like his character, it's like there's nothing to do with him.
Yeah, that was it. I think that was the last we'll see of Bronn too. Just like, okay, he goes in, he goes out.
I mean,
stage entry, stage exit.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see him again, because he even says, "I'm gonna find you after."
Well, we'll see.
Which is stupid. What does he expect to happen? That if they win, if they do win, and Dany becomes queen, and Cersei's dead, and everything goes, Bronn's just gonna walk up and say, "Okay, I get Highgarden, right?" And they're gonna be like, "Yup."
Yeah, Bronn is a dummy.
And even so, like, Tyrion just made that claim without even, like, consulting Daenerys or whoever is gonna end up being on the throne. Like, he can't just give away, like, whole freaking palaces, without consulting things. Like, that's just weird.
And Bronn, I think if you're trying to read into smart storytelling, if you're trying to reach for good stuff, it's like Bronn, really the smart thing for Bronn to do, he could have killed them both right there really easily. And that really would have turned the tide of the war to Cersei, but deep down Bronn does like these two guys more than Cersei, so that's why he didn't do it. But I don't think that's shown in the writing.
Yeah, definitely not.
Because, I mean, in the past he would fight for them, like, especially Tyrion. He would fight for him, even though it seemed like what he was doing for Tyrion weighed out more than whatever gold that Tyrion was giving him. It seemed like they were actually friends, comrades, but here it just seemed like he was being an asshole trying to shice them.
It kind of sucked. Yeah, they made him like hit him in the face to like make it seem like he was serious, just so that we'd be at least be worried that he was going to accidentally shoot one of them in the face with the crossbow, which I just felt like that was like. I thought it was a good speech that he gave, and about the fact that it's kind of, I guess, foreshadowing that's like there aren't good rulers. The people who become rulers are sellswords like him, or the people who take the land by force and then they rule forever. So it's it's a good overall theme of the episode and the show itself. But again, I like Bronn as a character. I want him to do something.
Well, that ain't it.
Yeah. There's a lot to complain about in this episode. I still liked it more than the last one, but once
there
you
was
really
a lot
get
of fun
into
moments.
it's like.
Yeah, you're right. But it's like the drinking scenes were fun. The the battle scenes were cool shot. Like the ship fighting scene I thought was cool. That we saw. Some of it was shot nicely. There's some good moments, but you're right. But just if you get down to it as an overall story structure and pacing and everything that they're trying to do with the themes and what they're doing to these characters, it's kind of a letdown.
And we only have 2 more episodes left. Can you believe this?
I know.
It feels like at this point of a long-running show, it should be like, oh, like you're excited to see what happens next. But right now, I'm feeling pretty lukewarm.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
kind of
Just
indifferent.
the last question is that does Cersei die next episode?
No.
Yes.
So leave it to the final one. I'm gonna say yes.
Really?
Mm.
You don't think they're gonna extend that bitch out?
They better
I think the
not.
final.
Because
Yeah.
okay, so usually in Game of Thrones, the penultimate episode is usually the one where all the big stuff goes down.
That's true.
So the next episode is that episode, and then the last episode is usually like where things kind of cool down, and they set up for the next season, or in this case, they set up for the end of the entire show. And I think that's what they're going to dedicate the last episode to. It's kind of like an epilogue of sorts. So
But how can they have a
Yeah.
whole 80 plus minutes of epilogue? Like, we only really care about a few handful of characters. I don't think that's enough material.
I think there could be enough if it's done right, but I guess we'll just have to see.
yeah,
You know,
Yep,
you know what's kind of funny?
What?
So in my spare time, because I have a lot of spare time at my work, I like to listen to your guys' podcast that I wasn't invited to be joined on.
oh no.
And I listened to the podcast that you guys did at first, where you predicted which Game of Thrones characters would die. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. You should re-listen to it again.
Are we
Okay.
we're so off, aren't we? Like
Yeah,
just
you're
like
right. I mean, it's to be fair, we got 2 more episodes, so you could all be right or wrong, but it's pretty funny.
Oh jeez. Yeah. Well,
I can't
we'll
wait.
definitely
I
have
can't wait to
back
listen to it
this.
afterwards.
Yeah, once the season's over.
Yeah. Anything else, or am I gonna wrap up?
You see the coffee cup?
I saw it. I didn't see it when I saw the episode, but I saw it blowing up the internet. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty funny. I mean, I guess it kind of. Again, I could be cynical and be like, oh, that best represents this whole show. They left the Starbucks cup on there. Nobody noticed it, but I guess it's an honest mistake. Whatever.
It's hard to do. You have a. lot
They've
to
gone
do.
when seasons without it, I guess, without doing anything like that.
There was a truck in the background another time ago.
Oh,
Really?
Really?
Back when they were
up.
when they were up in the north. Yeah, Google it, truck in Game of Thrones. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much for listening to us. I didn't introduce this when I walked in because I was just like jumping right into it. But you've been listening to this on Nerd Blaze. Like, comment, subscribe for all that fun stuff. We do Game of Thrones reviews along with a bunch of reviews for a bunch of different things like anime, as well as an anime podcast where two dudes who know nothing about sports talk about sports anime. Thank you all very much. I'm Jacoby.
And I'm out of here. See ya.
I'm Tori.